I never thought spitting into a plastic tube would change my life. Honestly, I bought the 23andMe kit as a joke, just something fun to do on a random weekend. I wanted to see if I had Irish roots like my grandmother always claimed, or maybe discover some distant cousin in Europe. I wasn't expecting anything life-changing. But a few weeks later, after I mailed it back and mostly forgot about it, everything shifted. I was sitting at home when I heard a sharp knock at the door. Two men in dark suits stood outside. They weren't neighbors. They weren't salesmen. They were FBI agents. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake. Why would the FBI be at my door? I hadn't done anything wrong. But the words they spoke next froze me in place, because it wasn't me they were after. But the words they spoke next froze me in place, because it wasn't me they were after. It all started in the most ordinary way. I was scrolling online one evening when I saw an ad for a DNA test kit on sale. Everyone seemed to be doing it, coworkers, friends, even people on social media posting about their surprising results. I figured, why not? It felt harmless, like one of those little trends you try once just to satisfy curiosity. When the box arrived, I laughed at how simple it looked. Just spit in a tube, seal it, and drop it in the mail. That was it. No needles, no doctors, no effort. I remember sitting at my kitchen table, watching TV in the background, filling the tube and joking to myself, well, here's my spit, let's see what secrets you're hiding. I didn't tell many people. To me, it was just entertainment. Maybe I'd finally confirm if my grandmother's stories about distant Irish roots were true. Maybe I'd find out I had a sprinkle of Italian or Scandinavian blood. At worst, it would be a funny story to share at family gatherings. I registered my kit online, dropped it off at the mailbox, and honestly forgot about it. It felt no more significant than sending in a survey or signing up for a store discount card. Little did I know, that small package didn't just carry my spit, it carried the key to a family truth that had been buried for decades. A few weeks later, I got the email, "Your results are ready." I clicked it faster than I thought I would. The website opened with a colorful breakdown of my ancestry. There it was, just as my grandmother claimed, I had Irish roots. There were bits of German, a little Scandinavian, even a surprise trace of Eastern European. It was fun to scroll through, like flipping through a family scrapbook I never knew existed. But then I noticed a section I hadn't paid much attention to before, DNA relatives. At the top, in bold letters, it said, close relative match. The system suggested this person shared enough DNA to possibly be a half-sibling, or maybe an uncle. My heart skipped. The name didn't match anyone I knew. Confused, I called my mom. I expected her to laugh it off, maybe explain it was a glitch. But when I asked if we had relatives by that name, her tone changed. She paused too long, her voice uneven. "That's complicated," she said quietly. "Don't read too much into those tests. They're not always accurate." Her reaction only made me more curious. I pressed, but she wouldn't say more. The excitement I'd felt moments earlier turned into something heavier, harder to ignore. At that moment, I thought the biggest twist would be discovering a secret relative. I had no idea the real surprise hadn't even arrived yet, and it would come not from an email, but from a knock on my front door. By the way, if you're hooked on how this is unfolding, make sure to hit subscribe. I share more true stories like this, and trust me, they only get crazier. It was about a week later when everything shifted from curiosity to something I couldn't control. I was home on a quiet afternoon when I heard a firm, heavy knock at the door. Not the casual kind you hear from neighbors or delivery guys. This one was deliberate, almost rehearsed. When I opened the door, two men stood there in dark suits, holding up badges. "FBI," one of them said calmly. My stomach dropped. For a second, I actually laughed nervously, thinking it had to be some kind of prank. But their faces didn't change. They were serious. "Are you early?" one asked. I nodded, barely getting the word yes out. They stepped closer, lowering their voices. "We'd like to ask you a few questions about a DNA test you recently took." I froze. My mind raced. How could the FBI know about that? It was just a mail-in kit, a novelty. I hadn't committed a crime, hadn't even broken a parking rule. I let them in, still in shock. One of the agents explained they were working on a cold case. A DNA match had popped up in their system, and my test had provided a link. I felt my throat tighten. I wanted to ask, a link to what? But before I could, the agent looked me straight in the eyes and said words that changed everything. It's not you we're investigating. It's someone in your family. If you're still watching right now, drop a comment with DNA doesn't lie. I want to see how many of you are writing this story to the end. The agents didn't waste time. They told me they were investigating a robbery that happened years ago. During the crime, DNA had been collected at the scene, but no match ever came up, until now. My test had flagged a close relative. I felt my hands go cold as they explained the details. The DNA wasn't mine, but it pointed directly to someone in my family. When they said the name, my stomach dropped. It was my cousin, a person I saw at family gatherings, someone I grew up with. I couldn't process it. This wasn't a distant, forgotten relative. This was someone still in my life. I thought about birthdays, barbecues, all the times we'd laughed together. Meanwhile, he had been carrying a secret this entire time. When the FBI made their move, it was surreal. My cousin was arrested, accused of being involved in a robbery that left an innocent person badly hurt. The quiet family secret wasn't so quiet anymore, it was front-page news. My family fell apart overnight. Some defended him, swearing he was framed. Others admitted they had always suspected something wasn't right. And me? I was the one who unknowingly provided the missing piece that brought the FBI straight to his door. After the arrest, nothing in my family was the same. Every phone call turned into an argument, every gathering filled with tension. Some relatives blamed me, as if I had gone looking for trouble by taking that test. Others looked at me with pity, as though I had been cursed with the burden of exposing the truth. But the reality was simple: DNA doesn't lie. My cousin had lived with his secret for years, thinking it was buried in the past. A small plastic tube changed all that. I wrestled with guilt at first. Did I betray my own blood? Was it my fault he was sitting in a cell now? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized the real betrayal wasn't mine, it was his. He made choices that day of the robbery. He left behind evidence. And he let the rest of us believe he was someone he wasn't. I had wanted fun ancestry facts, maybe a surprise connection overseas. What I got instead was a front-row seat to how fragile family trust can be when secrets come crashing down. Looking back, I realized that test didn't just tell me where I came from, it showed me who people in my family really were. And once the truth is uncovered, you can't put it back in the box. So, what do you think? Would you ever take a DNA test after hearing this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more true family stories and shocking twists, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Trust me, this story isn't the only one that proves sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.